Alright, what is up YouTube, HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my next Archetype video, and this time it is dedicated to Yugi's Ace Monster, the Dark Magician. So, there's a ton of Dark Magician cards, and there's a ton of cards in this Archetype, and I am very excited to talk about the Dark Magician, because the Dark Magician is a spellcaster monster with a lot of history behind him. He is, of course, the first protagonist main ace monster and has a lot to show for it. This guy has a ton of support and a lot of alterations to himself. And of course, we know him because of his ever faithful apprentice, the lovely Dark Magician Girl. And honestly, I adore Dark Magician Girl. What more than I do Dark Magician? But I think honestly, these monsters, the Dark Magician archetype has a ton of history with this deck, and a lot of people love it because it's one of the most iconic monsters. You know, you have Dark Magician, you have Blue Eyes White Dragon, you have Red Eyes, yeah, just a lot of iconic monsters in the Yu-Gi-Oh series. So, I'm pretty much here to talk about each of these monsters and that are surrounded by Dark Magician and a lot of the support for Dark Magician. So without further ado, let's get started. So Dark Magician himself, this is a level 7 Dark Attribute Sarcastic type monster with 2500 attack, 2100 defense. And his text reads the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. The Dark Magician, like I said, is Yugi Moto's ace monster. In the OCG, Dark Magician is known as Black Magician, for he uses the black arts in both combat and in strategy. The Dark Magician, of course, has a ton of supportive spells and trap cards aligned with him. Some of those we know as his most infamous attack, Dark Magic Attack. He has the 1000 Knives, which destroys a monster on the field if you control a Dark Magician, regardless of what position it's in. You have the spell card to summon the Dark Magician, known as Dark Magic Curtain. You pay half your life points to summon Dark Magician, but you cannot summon other monsters this turn, but you can set. We also have, of course, a lot of the corresponding cards with Dark Magician and his ever faithful apprentice, the Dark Magician Girl. Those cards happen to be bond between teacher and student, Dark Magic Twin Burst, Dark Magic Inheritance, Sage's Stone, which allows you to summon Dark Magician if you control Dark Magician Girl. Let's see, what's the card? Oh, Dark Magic Twin Burst, which helps you with Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Magician's Navigation. There's also another combo card between the two of them. The Dark Magic combination from Legendary Duelist Pack 6, Magical Forces, which will introduce even more support cards for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. So you can see there's going to be a lot of these cards that are going to be aimed towards the both of them. And a lot of cards aimed in their combination effects because, well, it's Dark Magician, Dark Magician Girl. These cards are Yugi's, main cards, the Magician's spellcasters. That's what he does. It's not spellcasters, it's some oddly beast, fiend, or warrior. or dragon destroyer. But for the most part, yes, those do gonna count. I also want to pay some homage to some of the not Dark Magician monsters, but the monsters that are, of course, in somewhere way you will consider them to be helpful support for the Dark Magician. We're talking about, of course, the Magician of Black Chaos, the Magician of Black Chaos Max, the Magician of Chaos. We also talk about Dark Eradicator Warlock, which is probably the only Magician monster in terms of the old school cards. Let's say around 2012. This is the only monster that technically uses Dark Magician to its effect, but it has nothing to do with Dark Magician. But the other ones do, as a form of Magician of Black Chaos Max and Magician of Chaos. Both have the ability to summon Dark Magician, as well as summoning. His name will become Dark Magician. This one has the ability to summon Dark Magician to the field. No, he doesn't have Dark Magician. The ritual spell involves some Dark Magician. That's actually Chaos form. So you can use Dark Magician to summon either monster that includes Dark Magician of Chaos in its name, or a Blackluster monster to the field, which can be easily pliable now thanks to this ritual spell. I mean, you can use, of course, the Dark Magic Ritual for Magician of Black Chaos, the original, but yeah, I mean, when you get some added bonus effects from this one, yeah, you might as well just go ahead and use it, or use this upgraded form. But these these cards are pretty much just cards I want to pay some attention to because they are, of course, Dark Magician related. Even though they're not technically Dark Magician, and one only treats itself as Dark Magician once on the field graveyard, I at least wanted to make sure those cards were recognized. Now that we have that out of the way, we can actually go into some history about the Dark Magician in the forms of Paladinian Oracle Mahad. So this monster is a level 7 light attribute spellcaster type monster with the same attack and defense as the same attack defense level and type as the Dark Magician. Is just light, not dark. His effect is that when you draw into this card, you can reveal this card from in your hand that's also summoned to the field. When this monster battles a dark attribute monster, it will have its attack doubled. And if this card is ever destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So this monster is pretty much the Dark Magician. Now, how is that to be? Well, if you watch the last season of the Yu-Gi-Oh series, Mahad is the teacher to both Mana and Atem. The Pharaoh himself, actually, he is the servant to the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh was in trouble, and Mahad sacrificed his life to pretty much combine himself with his monster, the Magician of Dark Illusion, to become the Dark Magician. And since we're talking about the Magician of Dark Illusion, this is him. His name becomes Dark Magician while he's on the field. And once a turn, you can apply one of each of the following effects of this monster. If your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect while this card is in your hand, you can still summon this card from your hand to the field, except during the damage step. If a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, you can target a Dark Magician in your graveyard and you can special summon it to the field. You don't use this effect while it's face up on the field. So the crazy thing is that you take the essence of this monster who has a similar look to the Dark Magician. You take Mahad and you pretty much make the Dark Magician. And Mahad pretty much gave up himself to protect his Pharaoh, in which he succeeded, which gave him the to destroy, which gave Atem the ability to not only to know what his name was, but to defeat Thief King Bakura and set him in to deal with all the crazy that was attached to him. Now we move on to some more of the support for the Dark Magician. We have Magician's Rod, which of course is his magical rod in the form of a monster. That pretty much has the ability to add a Dark Magician to the field, or a card that specifically lists to add one spell or try card that specifically lists Dark Magician from your deck to your hand when he's normal summon. And then if this card's in your graveyard, you can attribute a spellcaster monster you control to add this card back to your hand. You'll use each effect of Magician's Rod once per turn. Then we have Magician's Robe, level 2 Dark Attribute spellcaster might monster. This monster's effect is that during your opponent's turn, you can discard one spell or try card to summon one Dark Magician from your deck. During your opponent's turn, you can activate this effect to when you activate a spell, trap, or monster effect while this card's in your graveyard during the damage, you successfully summon this card, but it's banished when it leaves the field, and you'll use each effect of this Magician's Robe per turn. So the Magician's Robe is pretty much just Dark Magician's Robe, and it has really to summon the master itself, Dark Magician. These also are followed by one of the new monsters from Legendary Duelist Pack 6, the Magician's Soul, which has a picture of both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. This card's effect reads: you can send this card to graveyard. You can send one level. You can discard. While this card's in your hand, you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster type monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then apply one of these effects. You can send this card from your hand. You can send this card to the graveyard to special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician. That's one Dark Magician or one Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard. You can send up to 2 spell attack cards you control from your hand or field to the grave, and then draw the same number of cards, but you only use each effect of Magician's Robe once per turn. So the crazy thing about this, of course, is another assistance card to summon the Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, and corresponds with them beautifully. It's pretty much just the array of what the cards are in terms of the magicians that associate with Dark Magician. Another association to Dark Magician is the Dark Sage. This has to do with both the card Yugi gave Joey, the Time Wizard. So when Yugi played when Yugi faced Joey in the finals of the Duelist Kingdom, Dark Magician was about to face his match when when Joey activated Time Wizard's effect, and it was called right. Well, Yugi summoned the Dark Sage off of that. And the crazy thing about his Dark Sage's requirements to be summoned is that the call for um, Time Wizard is correct. And you can summon this card from your deck or hand by tributing Dark Magician. And then when this card is summoned, you can add a spell card from your deck to your hand. It is crazy enough because this was a counter card for Time Wizard, even though it technically uses Time Wizard. And the funny thing about Time Wizard itself is that in OCG, Time Wizard is known as Time Magician. As it is a magician card, it just got its name changed over here. And it's more fluctuated with Joey than it's ever been with Yugi. The only time it actually has to do with Yugi is, of course, Yugi giving it to Joey. Now, the next card up is, since we cut out a lot of the fluff, is the Magician of Black Chaos, as we know him as D-Mok. So the correlation between this monster and Dark Magician is, of course, through the spell card, Dedication Through Light and Darkness, where you contribute a Dark Magician to summon Dark Magician of Chaos from your hand, deck, or graveyard. The Dark Magician of Chaos's effect is that when this card is summoned, you can add one spell card from your graveyard to your hand. This was actually changed as there was an errata to the Dark Magician of Chaos because it would be completely broken. And there's ways to find ways to break this magician. So its effect now reads: during the end phase of the turn, this card was normal or special summon. You can add one spell card from your graveyard to your hand. You only use this effect of Dark Magician of Chaos once per turn. When this card battles an opponent's monster and destroys it, banish that card instead. If this card is to leave the field, banish it instead. Its original text pretty much just stated that when it was normal special summon, you can add a spell card from your graveyard to your hand, and you didn't have to you didn't have to wait to the end phase, and it wasn't regulated once per turn, which made it completely broken and was why it was banned for a long period of time. But just like all the other Chaos monsters, it ended up off the ban list. Some of them, more than others, got the errata, and some didn't. D-Mok was one that did get an errata. Chaos Emperor Dragon was one that got an errata, but Chaos Sorcerer and BLS Envoy at the beginning did not get their erratas. Funny enough, all three of these monsters are at 3 in the TCG, and I'm surprised no one's built massive Chaos decks, but there's a lot of more threatening Chaos monsters than the original 4 that came out. But this monster, of course, was a card that was used in the anime in one of Yugi's decks. It wasn't directly used by Mr. Moto, but it was used by Dimitri in GX, who was facing against Jaden, who Jaden was facing against Yugi's deck and managed to win too. Next up is the Sorcerer of Dark Magic. This is a monster that was used in the first movie for Yu-Gi-Oh! This card cannot be normal summoned or set. It can only be summoned by tributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters. You can negate the activation of any trap card and destroy them. So this monster has the ability to stop trap cards. It's a signature card of another card of Mr. Moto. And it's not too bad of a card itself. It can be used in a lot of decks too that have high level spellcaster type monsters. One, you just have to draw into it, and 2, you have to make sure this card can come out through summon, and it cannot be summoned by other ways. So it's kind of just meh. But it is, in a similar sense, has the same look of the Dark Magician, just a black robe with a black sector. And needs 2 spellcasters, but he did use Dark Magician Girl to make this card appear. Next up is the Dark Flare Knight, and its card, the Knight's title. These cards pretty much say, this card says tribute 1 Dark Magician to summon the monster itself, the Dark Magician Knight, from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And this monster effect is that this card cannot be normal set. It has to be summoned through the effects of Knight's title. When this card is special summoned successfully, you can target 1 card in the field and destroy it. And that's okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just a lackluster card. We do have, of course, the Illusionary Apprentice Illusion Magician. And she pretty much can special summon the Dark Magician. She can add a Dark Magician from your deck to your hand when she is normal or special summoned. You can special summon her by discarding a card from your hand, kind of similar to Yugi's Tricky card. The other thing about this magician is that if another dark spellcaster type monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this card to the graveyard from your hand or field to give that monster 2,000 attack and defense during damage calculation only. She has a similar appearance to the Dark Magician Girl, for she holds the same attack, defense, level, attribute, and type as Dark Magician Girl, and a similar appearance. We can also talk about one of the few the last cards to need to talk about. We have the Skilled Dark Magician. The Skilled Dark Magician does not hold the same kanji as Dark Magician in the OCG, but it's named the Skilled Dark Magician because it has the effect of when this card, every time a spell card is activated after it resolves, you give this card a spell counter. For when this card maxes out at 3, you can send this card and those spell counters to the out the way. You tribute this card with its 3 spell counters to summon one Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. There are corresponding Skilled Magician monsters based off of each of Yugi's signature monsters in his deck. We have the Skilled White Magician to help you summon the Buster Blader. We have the Skilled Red Magician to summon Archfiend monsters, in particular the Summon Skull, who by text is also known as the Summon Demon in the OCG, because the translation from Archfiend to Demon, because of censorship, and then the fact that this card is originally a demon, not the Summon Skull. But it has the text on it saying this card always shares an Archfiend card, so it is mandatory. And then we have, of course, the Skilled Blue Magician, who helps summon Yugi's Gaia the Fierce Knight. So those are all the Skilled Magicians that run around the Skilled Magicians. And then we can go on to Yugi's extra deck, because I've pretty much went through all of the main deck monsters. We have Yugi's Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, needs 1 Dragon type monster, 1 Dark Magician. This card name becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field in the graveyard. Your opponent cannot target any of your spell cards you control with effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This card features Timaeus, the dragon, as well as Dark Magician in a snapping little armor. We also have Amulet Dragon, which needs 1 Dragon type monster, 1 Dark Magician, cannot be fusion summoned. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion material or with the spell Eye of Timaeus. When this card is also summoned, target any number of spell cards in your graveyard, minimum of 1. Banish those targets, and if you do, this card gains 100 attack for each banished card. Each card banished by this effect. If this card is destroyed, you can still summon one. You can target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Of course, the Eye of Timaeus is an cumulative card for both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, which allows you to use a Dark Magician monster as fusion monster to fusion summon a monster in your extra deck, but you can activate 1 Eye of Timaeus per turn. Then we of course have Yugi's one of Yugi's most infamous monsters, the Dark Paladin. This monster has when this card is fusion summoned, you can when a spell card is activated, quick effect, you can discard 1 card from your hand to negate the activation of the card. And if you do destroy it, this card must be face up on the field to activate the resolve effect. It gains 500 attack for each Dragon type monster on the field and in the graveyard. This monster needs Dark Magician and Buster Blader in order for its fusion summon. This monster is pretty much the ace monster that was used to help Yugi destroy Kaiba in the Battle City semifinals, where he was able to take out Kaiba and secure his victory for the final duel against Merrick. There are 2 artworks to this monster, as this is one of them and this is the other, with a strong magician circle in the background while he is holding his sword-like staff. If you're not too familiar with paladins are a combination of both magicians and warriors. There's actually an archetype combination between 2 of Little Yugi's monsters, the Silent Magician and the Silent Swordsman. Also to note, we have Dark Chevalier, 1 warrior monster, 1 Dark Magician. This card gains 100 attack for each spell card on the field in the graveyard. If this card attacks a defensive monster, inflicts piercing damage to your opponent. When this card or effect is activated that targets a card on the field, you can discard 1 card from your hand and get activation. If you do, destroy it. This monster is pretty much a combination of Dark Magician and Gaia the Fierce Knight. And then we have the combination card between Dark Magician Girl. We have Dark Magician We have the Dark Magicians, or as this card text would be, Dark Magicians, the Ultimate Warlock, the Ultimate Wizards. This monster is a combination of Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl and one spellcaster type monster. Once returned, if a spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can draw one card, and if you do draw a spell or trap card, use it to the graveyard. You can set that card. If it's a quick play spell or a trap card, you can activate it the turn you set it. If this card is destroyed, you special summon one Dark Magician and one Dark Magician Girl from your deck, hand, or graveyard. And of course, this card has some updated versions of the beautiful Dark Magician Girl and the Dark Magician. Next up is Dark Flare Knight, the fusion card between Yugi's Dark Magician and Joey's Flame Swordsman. Any damage that the controller of this card takes as the result of battle is that this card is involved in becomes 0. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard as a result of battle, you can summon one Mirage Knight from your hand or deck. This is Mirage Knight. He's a level 8 he's a level 8 monster, light attribute warrior. And his effect is he cannot be normal summoned set. He must be summoned by the effects of Dark Flare Knight and cannot be summoned other ways. When this card destroys he can only summoned by effect of Dark Flare Knight. When this card battles an opponent's another monster during the damage calculation, increase the attack of this card by the original attack of the opponent's monster. During the end phase of the turn, this card involved in battle, remove this card from the game, or we'll say banished. But yeah, this card in correlation with Dark Flare Knight are the cards that gave Yugi and Joey the win against the the Big Five. And then we have some spellcasters that are based off of Dark Magician. We have Ebon Illusion Magician and Ebon High Magician. They just pretty much work around the whole rank 7 build for spellcasters, as you need 2 spellcasters for it. Funny enough, the Ebon Illusion Magician is just an upgraded form of the Dark Magician, as Maji Magician Gal is the upgraded form of the Dark Magician Girl in her Exceed form. You can also put this monster on top of a rank 6 spellcaster type monster, and then you can detach the material from this card to summon one spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. And when that spellcaster is declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it. So you can easily summon or play around with the Dark Magician. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it, and we can go over most of the other spells that we have. We have the Eye of Timaeus, which is the fusion card for Dark Magicians. We've already talked about most of the Magician cards here. We do have the Chaos Sector Blast for the Magician of Black Chaos and Dark Magician of Chaos. If a level 8 or higher spellcaster monster on the field that you control, you can banish one card on the field face down. If this card in the owner's spell or trap card zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can summon one Magician of Black Chaos or one Dark Magician of Chaos from the deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. We've already talked about most of the other spells. I mean, we can even talk about Dark Magician Secrets, which is set up for a fusion summon of a fusion monster that includes Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl as its fusion materials. You can ritual summon one monster from your hand by tributing monsters you control, including Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, whose level will equal or exceed that monster's level, and it just helps bring them out. We also can talk about Magic Formula, the equipped spell for Dark Magician Girl, and raises the attack by 700. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, increase your life points by 1,000. We have Magician Navigation, Eternal Soul, and we have Magical Restoration, which remove 2 spell counters from your side of the field, then target one Dark Magician or Buster Blader in your graveyard, and so summon those targets to the board. We do have the quick play spell Illusion Magic. Tribute one Magician monster, add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck and or graveyard to your hand, and use 1 Illusion Magic per turn. And that's pretty much all of the cards that I can talk about here for Dark Magician. So that leads me to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys do enjoy this video. And I think pretty much that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. HBJ signing out. Take care.